might actually do? By the way, nobody in that crowded thoroughfare did anything to help. Ellie?
So if I'm in the car here, the person is in the car, the girl is in the car here.
Wait, what did you say?
You see this whole, in other words, you're seeing this whole event unfold.
So everybody, they're in traffic or something.
Right.
Okay, so we're like.
They're stopped cars.
So everybody stopped, we're all sitting in our cars, and we see this happening. You've heard of this kind of thing before, where
Yeah.
people see something going on and don't do anything. So, now here's the thing though, for Kant, you know what your moral imperative is in that situation. But on the other hand, I'll point out that, the hardest thing for a person is to actually do what's morally right in a situation where they're, of course, in a situation where they might be harmed by the same individuals.
What was the second question?
What do you think you might actually do?
Can I say something?
But, well, let me point out, they didn't have cell phones at the time.
Oh.
So cell phoning the police, who wouldn't be able to get there to help anyway because of the traffic.
I want to indulge in this a little bit, but I guess it's.
Go ahead.
Well, usually it takes like one person to start to help, and then more people start to help. But then think if it was like somebody who was having cardiac arrest or something, a doctor might help them, but or if it wasn't even a doctor, or a citizen can help, but they can also get sued if they did something wrong.
No, they can't. Not in most states.
Some states
It's
they
better
can.
than normal.
Yeah.
Okay, but not some states aren't. But
Some states.
but you can get sued for if you did something wrong. And then people get but then.
How would you do something wrong by trying to keep three ugly guys from
Oh, no, that's
beating
not
a
saying
beautiful young woman?
I would help, but also not just saying for this, or I'm just saying for if they're in cardiac arrest or something like that. In the heat of the moment, what would you what would your actual instinct be? Would you be too afraid to do something because you don't know if you do it wrong,
Yeah.
But for this,
I
it's
mean,
completely different, because I didn't want to answer this question, but you know what I'm
you
saying?
can say
Usually it takes more than one person to actually start,
Well,
initiate the help.
Like, I mean, in this situation, they didn't have someone. So like,
Yeah.
you could get multiple people out of that car and be like, hey, I need help.
That's why you
Because
need,
for me
somebody to
personally,
initiate it.
like, if a woman was getting attacked by more men, I would probably get attacked too. So I would probably want to get.
I would just trip them.
I can see why girls wouldn't like to.
Yeah, because I
do these
could
people
also
have
get
guns?
injured.
Or that could be another aspect as well.
We're gonna be three guys. If it's three guys, all you gotta do is just kick 3 times. Boom, 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 and they gone.
And you know exactly where to kick.
Exactly.
I mean, for one, we don't know why they're trying to get into the car though. Like, maybe she did something, but
Yeah,
at
that's
the same
true.
time,
Yeah, but
like,
she's still gonna be defenseless.
yeah. I mean, sure, definitely try to stop it. but, like,
Even if they did do something, the correct answer isn't to beat her up. That is if somebody
Yeah.
did something to you and you are a big guy and that person is a small woman, there's a certain amount of appropriate response. You don't.
yeah.
You need to act in justified self-defense. That person wasn't in imminent grievous bodily harm, in fear of imminent grievous bodily harm, so they couldn't attack her in any sort of meaningful way without hurting her to the point where they would also be at fault.
I know with Eva, right? That it takes somebody to initiate to start helping, and then a lot more people would stand up in the crowd.
That's
Like,
called
usually
kind
they're
of sometimes,
Yeah.
Bystander effect?
Yeah,
Bystander
bystander
effect.
effect, where
Yeah.
if somebody doesn't initiate first, everybody's just gonna stand there and copy what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
they don't wanna-
That's
This article says that they actually were cheering them on at one point.
so
They're cheering on
The three guys?
attackers as they force her to strip.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry, this.
strip.
Read the first sentence.
Let me see.
Oh.
Wow.
So this is even worse than I remembered, actually.
Strip. Yeah, that's a show. Okay, I shouldn't jump around like that.
All they were left, sorry, for the whole.
So, So generally speaking, it seems to me that everybody feels like their moral, their categorical imperative, because for Kant it's no different than identifying this is a triangle, this is a square, this is right, this is wrong. And you just know it. It's not like the voice of God says to you, my son, you should go and save the bees. No, but you intuit exactly what the right thing to do is.
The sad part too is like, if they're all like cheering them on to strip and the other person knows this is wrong, the majority of the people who are cheering them on, you're not gonna reach out, or the person who's like, no, this is wrong, isn't gonna reach the voices over the other voices. You know what I'm saying? Does that make, English, okay.
Yeah.
They're not gonna reach over to do the right thing because this big group of people are like, yeah, and then.
And also at the same time, I think everybody has like different morals and different ways of saying this is right and this is wrong. Because a group of people will be like, oh,
So
this,
that's
what they're doing
situational
is right,
ethics.
but then at the same time, they'll be like, oh.
So that's your point is the flip side of this, that Kant has morality, and Hegel and others are going to say it depends on the individual who is in a different peer group or different situation. Situational ethics, Sittlichkeit, right? The situatedness, right? And so you can see that that's kind of more of a utilitarian. It evolves. Our morality evolves. And think of, if you were in Saudi Arabia and you see the bunch of guys, beating on a car, trying to get a woman out of the car, you might think to yourself, at least a few years ago, I don't know if it's changed, but a few years ago you would have thought, well, serves her right, driving alone without her husband or guardian or, what the heck is she doing? Go get her, So so the situation would change.
Isn't there a difference though between like knowing you should do something and having an obligation to do it? Like you would know that you should help the lady, but like I don't think you're necessarily obligated to do so. Like yeah.
Oh, legally you wouldn't be obligated.
I mean, yeah, but
Yeah,
like morally
I don't
obligated
think.
either.
It
like,
could be dependent on some.
I mean, there's some occupations like in the medical field where even if you're not on your shift and somebody's going through something like medical endangerment, you have to help.
Yeah.
What I've asked this question to classes before, and what I've discovered is that the first response a lot of women have had is to use their cell phones to call the police. But I've had to point out, well, they didn't have cell phones at the time. But then the other thing is that women would tend to stay in the car, whereas males would feel obligated to get out and try to do something.
Does anyone ever get to crash into them? That's what I would do.
Well, if they're all like, so you're gonna crash into all the other cars and boop, boop,
Yeah,
boop, boop, boop.
hopefully you can crash into the person here or the person here and then sort of form a barrier so that the men would be delayed in that, so the women
Okay, if
has
you
time
were-
to run away.
I don't think that would work because if you're in traffic like this, in two long lines, how are you gonna form a little circle?
Oh, you're not gonna form a circle around them, you're gonna form a wall.
This is Alaska. One of the persons in the class, a woman, got up and said, "I would just take my shotgun and go over and shoot them."
Oh.
Of course you have a shotgun in your car, and you're not going to be worried about these three guys because it's a little bit stronger than their guns, I'm assuming. Okay, well, let's quit this. It's a fascinating discussion. It always has been, and I would normally have brought it up when we're running through Kant, talking about categorical reasoning and so on, and point out that for him, the imperative of what you should do is also just as crystal clear in your mind, but for some reason culturally the problem is who wants to put their life in danger, in a situation like that. But we don't have class on Wednesday, We do have a double session on Friday, starting at 10 o'clock. And I'm planning on being here and having all sorts of entertaining things to talk about, mostly contemporary philosophers and their the issues that we're looking at, to try to, especially look at our contemporary conversation. If you think of it, you're joining a conversation. If you're not familiar with the issues and the ones who are writing and thinking about it, you can't really participate in the conversation. But I hope, after this class, you'll at least feel, hey, we could join this conversation. I'm familiar with some of this. Yes?
Is it okay if we're only able to attend half the class?
Fine. In fact, that's terrific if you can come. The way the schedule is totally screwed up for finals
Actually, I don't know.
often makes it so that people can't even go to all of them, depending on how the conflicts are with your other schedules. What I would used to do would be like bring in a movie and play the movie, and then maybe have a conversation about the movie. I might have had like 5 or 6 people come. In fact, we would vote on. I would bring a bunch of DVDs. Which movie do you want to see? Okay, Amelie. We watch Amelie, and then maybe have a few minutes to talk about how depressing it is if you're an existentialist living in France. Anybody familiar with Amelie? No? Good movie. What's her name? Tattoo. I can't think of her first name, but she's the main actress in that. She was also in the first Da Vinci Code movie. Audrey Tattoo. She was in that. She was in Amelie. It's cute, very cute, very sad, but I think what we'll do instead is just try to discuss all the different things going on, and maybe answer some questions. I'll try to answer any questions you might have. And I have the obligation to be here for the whole time anyway, so I'll be here, and I'll find something interesting to do if no one else comes, but hopefully you'll have a chance to come.
There's one guy.
One guy tried something?
Yeah, that changes a lot. If it's only one guy, that's,
No, it says the second man is being sought.
oh,
Or, well, they, after we.
Yeah,
I think
when
they
I
were
first
talking
heard
a
of
about,
second
like,
man.
I thought there were like
the
3
people that were cheering on.
3
that
guys.
Got into custody, but it was mainly just one guy chasing her and doing all that.
But that just always struck me as an example of how clear a problem could be, and yet still make it difficult for us to decide what to do because of the
I don't even know that that's an
situational.
issue here, considering about 40 people were cheering him on.
Right, like if you have 40
Does it-
bystanders just standing there encouraging the action, you're gonna be terrified for your life.
Yeah, there's no, like,
And this is Detroit at night.
Yeah, exactly, so, come on now.
And it said that she had hit them a couple times, there had been altercations on the road. There's always
if there's an altercation on the road, I would go up to the other person and be like, okay, strip and jump off a bridge,
Right,
There's a difference.
She might have done something.
Any questions today for me? I hope you can come. If not, this is our last meeting. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on philosophy in general. It's, I think, very important. Obviously, it's exciting to me. And philosophy will change your life if you indulge, that's for sure. And always, I think, for the better, unless you get stuck at Kierkegaard. Don't get stuck at Kierkegaard. There are some depressing philosophers out there that just... Nietzsche can be rough if you're not careful.
Thank you.
American philosophers. Go for American philosophers. They're pretty darn good. They're mostly after the same ideals that you have, so you could bet they're pretty safe. And if I don't see you, thanks for taking the course. And being part of my life, believe it or not, so. Have you decided whether you're going to stay for another semester or you're going to Fairbanks?
Yeah, I plan to stay here another semester
Cool.
so far.
It's pretty liberating to know that you can just, decide to go where you
Well,
want.
it's confusing, definitely confusing, like not being sure what I'm doing ever.
Well-
Is it 10 a.m. on Friday? Is that when it starts?
10 a.m. on Friday. What happens is it's the final session, and so they doubled up the session.
Yeah.
And so instead of meeting at 11:30, you meet at 10 to 11:30 and 11:30 to 12:45. So we have a double session.
Okay.
So
I'm not gonna be here Friday at work.